Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Akwa Ibom in Nigeria. Let me grab my pencil real quick. I normally don't start off with Google Earth, but I want to start off by showing you exactly where we are in the world. This is the capital of Uyo. So if I zoom out, you can see that we are on the southern coast of Nigeria here in Western Africa. And I pulled out the tablet first because there really isn't much to show you on Google Earth. We really need someone, because this is the second state in a row for my series for Nigeria. We need someone to go and take a lot of pictures, a lot of good pictures of Nigeria for Google Earth, because there's just a lot of not very exciting ones or just people's selfies, not a lot to show you. So I thought I'd start with the tablet just to give you an idea of what this place looks like from satellite image. You can see the capital city of Uyo here, and you can see that it's along the Guinea coast here, an area known as the Bight of Biafra. That's pretty much all I have to show you. Let me zoom this out and let's look at the map. Turn that off. Okay. Set this carefully over here. Okay. There we go. So here's Akwa Ibom. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it in English, but I cannot find how to pronounce this place in American English, just kind of how they say it in Nigeria. So that's just how I'm going to say it, because there probably isn't a proper American English way to say the name of the state. It's Akwa Ibom. You can see on the map here all the little oil wells, and that's because Akwa Ibom is one of the biggest oil producing states in Nigeria. Lots and lots of offshore drilling here. And in the interior, from what I can tell, it's mostly farming. And that's because the people who live here have been farmers since they've been around on this planet. Now, the thing about Nigeria is that, from what I knew about Nigeria, there's three big ethnic groups, right? You have the Hausas up in the north, you have the Yorubas over here, and you have the Igbos over here. So I'm looking at this map and going, oh, this is clearly, an Igbo state. It's right by Cross River, and, Cameroon's right over here. But then I get into the meat of it, and it's actually a state that is not a part of any of those groups. The majority of the people here are Ibibio. There's lots of other little groups like the Anang, the Ora, and just lots of other very tiny ones. And they're all very connected in a way, for lack of a better term. What's the word I'm thinking of? They all speak a language that comes from Efik, I believe, the Efik culture in this area. And the languages and cultures are different, but they're all understood by all of the people here. You can imagine it's a very tiny little corner. Of course, there's people in Abia, I already covered that, and throughout Cross River State and Cameroon, but the heartland for the Ibibio is here. The heartland for a lot of groups. It's right in this little corner of Nigeria. So let's talk about the history, because I'm like, because to me, from what I knew about Nigeria, everything is either Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo, or like mashups of these. Mainly down here you get the clash of like Yoruba and Igbo cultures. So I'm like, what's going on over here that none of those groups are the majority? Like, to me, that's news to me. So, historians can't quite agree when the Ibibio first settled here. It could have been many thousands and thousands of years ago, at least in the southern area here. But definitely by the year 1550 CE, they would have started settling here in what's now Uyo. And that is because they had a lot of clashes with the other tribes in the area, mainly the Aro branch of the Igbo, kind of pushed them down here closer to the coast where there wasn't really anyone living. You know, it's kind of swampy, there's mangroves, but it was perfect for the Ibibio because, like I said, they are farmers. They grow their yams. You know, if you've read Things Fall Apart, you know how important yams are to many Nigerian cultures. They would grow all kinds of fruits and things, and that was how they made their living. They weren't like tribal hunters or anything. These people were farmers. So to find a spot right here near the water that nobody really wanted was perfect for them. So many other little groups that were also kind of pushed out by the much more aggressive Igbo found their way here. I think that's really interesting. Ibom was the name of the Ibibio sky god. They had quite a couple of important gods, but that was kind of like that's kind of like the Zeus character of their pantheon. So they were known as the Ibom Kingdom. That was the name of they're very well politically organized, the Ibibio. As were the many other groups. Of course, the British start to move in on the area, and they absorb this area into a protectorate by 1884. Of course, they were up in Berlin drawing lines on a map, and they delineated that this is part of their Nigerian protectorate. And the people here did not really like that, especially once the British really got serious about claiming Nigeria and made the area British Nigeria, full-blown colony. The people here were not happy, and the big famous women's movements over in Abia, but there was a lot of resistance here as well. And a very interesting story I found about the Anang, which I told you is it's like the second largest ethnic group in this area. In the 1900s up until about the 1940s, there were lots of leopard attacks in this area. Sorry for my tummy if you heard that. My tummy is bubbling. I had chicken cordon bleu for dinner. It's really good. Anyway, lots of leopard attacks, and they would happen mainly to the people here. The British would investigate, but they weren't finding a lot of leopards out in the wild. And then the leopards started to attack the British. And the Anang people are like, well, of course, you know, there's the human leopards. They're like, what in the world? So there are many different cultures throughout Africa. It's mainly over far more west in like Sierra Leone. And there's a couple of stories kind of in the central area around Congo, but there were stories here of the Anang, of the human leopards, where kind of like werewolves, these people could turn into leopards and they would go out and attack people. Many people were actually tried and convicted and sentenced to death because of this, because it was, you know, murder and a form of rebellion. But like, I tried to find more about it online. I couldn't find, most of what I can find was about Sierra Leone, where I guess was like the heartland of human leopards. But it was occurring here too. Very, very curious story, isn't it? Hopefully, eventually, someday we'll get to Sierra Leone and we'll talk about the human leopards. But I went down a tiny rabbit hole about the human leopards here in Akwa, and that was pretty much all I could find. But like, there's a story there, right? That's really interesting. I wonder what exactly was happening over there. But eventually, Nigeria would gain independence from Great Britain and become their own country. And Nigerian history was very, very rocky in its first couple of decades. It was a bit of a mess. When the Nigerian government drew lines on a map to delineate areas, they just lumped this area in with the rest of eastern Nigeria, which again is primarily Igbo. And the people are here like, well, we don't really want to be lumped in with the Igbo. We don't share similar cultures or anything, and we just kind of want to do our own thing. But that wasn't a priority of the government because there were a lot of other things going on. Eventually, they were like, oh, well, we'll divide this up a little easier, and it became part of Cross River State, which is very Igbo. And the people here are even more unhappy because at this time, many Igbo groups were planning civil war. They were preparing to form their own country called Biafra, mainly like this part of Cameroon and over here. And it turned into a full-fledged civil war, and Akwa Ibom was kind of caught right in the middle, because over here is Port Harcourt, where you enter kind of the Yoruba area. Over here you can see Calabar, which is really the beginning of the heart of the Igbo area. So they're caught right in the middle. A lot of fighting happening here. I believe that the Biafran rebels wanted to absorb this area, make it part of theirs, which the people here did not want. But thankfully that ended, and things just kind of went back to how they were before the start of the Civil War. So the people here were really, really pushing for their own recognition for their own people. And it didn't happen until 1987 when things were being restructured in Nigeria. It's happened a couple times in their history, but in 1987, Akwa Ibom was founded. Not Igbo, not Yoruba, just their own thing. All of these groups being here together, coexisting. I think that's the word I was looking for. Coexisting together. One word that I found about the cities here that has come up over and over again is, especially about Uyo, is that it's very clean. And I haven't seen that adjective thrown around a lot for cities, and every description I've read about Uyo and the various other cities is that they're very clean. So that's amazing to have a clean city like that. That sounds incredible. You can tell that these cities are really starting to expand. It's kind of, that sort of suburby area where we're outside the busy Lagos coast over here. It's like a quieter kind of city environment over here, much slower, much more relaxed, and very clean. So that is all I have for you for tonight. I know it's kind of a short one, but I spent most of my time researching the Ibibio and their culture, which is super fascinating. But yeah, that is what I have for you for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing because I do this type of content all the time. If you enjoyed this, just wait. Just you wait. Because I'm going in alphabetical order. So this is the last of the AKs. We're moving into the ALs. And we are about to hit like 3.5, 4 weeks of Arab or Arabic speaking countries. It's going to be summer in the sand over here. We are going to the Middle East. We are going to Northern Africa. We are going to be exploring a lot of Arab countries before, of course, moving over to Alabama, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. We are heading off to summer in the sandy Middle East, and we're going to be starting off in Iraq, in a very sandy, hot area. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and a special shout out to all my Nigerian viewers who really show this channel a lot of love whenever I cover Nigeria. I love to cover Nigeria, not just because of you guys, but because this country is really remarkable. I'm always happy to talk about it. And I hope that, did I already say, I hope you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good night.